So, the first week of quitting uni is done, and I'm gonna have to be honest. I feel, as corny as this sounds, I feel free, you know, free from the obligations of going to uni every single week and worrying about arbitrary assignments that don't mean anything to me, that I'll never look at ever again after I'm done with, you know. Um, I think when I was still at uni and trying to get work that wasn't uni done, there would still always just be days where no matter how much of that external thing I did, I would always just come back to uni. And I think that feeling was just the most, how do I say this? It felt like I was just trapped, right? Because no matter how much I felt like I was progressing in whatever I was doing, I would always just come back to uni and be like, oh, there's another thing I need to do. And there's another time, there's another um, deadline I need to worry about, and I think that gets to you the more and more you battle against it. As much as you pretend that it's not there, the thought is always just gonna be looming right on behind you, making you question. Um, Essentially, you're just never gonna think you're enough, right? You're never gonna think the amount of work you're doing is enough, and just the thought of uni being behind you can sort of throw you off track, and you're just like, you just don't want to do other things. Because I've tried both, doing uni first and then work first and then uni. Both is extremely tiring and extremely time consuming. And I figured I might as well take a leap into the other direction, since it's a weird thing to know that your entire path of living up until this point has not been the path you need to take to where you want to be, right? And I think it's weird that that usually comes first, where you are, the path that you're on, and then eventually you realize what you want to do, and you sort of have to look at it yourself and think whether or not this path is gonna get you to that goal. And I think half the time, uni might be the answer, and the other half, uni won't be the answer. It really just is very, it's a very unique thing for every individual, like not everyone's gonna have the same goals, not everyone's gonna have the same aspirations or dreams. So there's always just gonna be that disconnect or that divide. But yeah, for me, I think very quickly, maybe not very quickly, but slowly as uni progressed, um, I sort of just realized that it wasn't it wasn't the path, and yeah, but that's a bit unrelated. Yeah. Anyways, back to the reflection of this first week. Yeah, like I said, it's been freeing. I've done an incredible amount of work, in my opinion, day by day, which is quite a big surprise. I've been able to focus majority of days. These last 2 days, I know I said takes. These last 2 days, I've sort of taken a break just because, it's the weekends. Felt like letting loose for a bit. You could be the Sigma grindset kind of guy and just go every single week, every single day of the week. No stopping. That's probably better, just because you sort of don't have to battle against this urge to just keep, letting loose. But it's good. I'm looking at my first week, and I'd say I'm pretty happy with the way I'm progressing, and this is definitely the way I should be progressing, just not for uni, right? Um, it is definitely very possible to do this. Quitting uni to try and fulfill your other needs in life, right, or your other paths in life to try and like focus on that path. And it's very easy to, you know, do this and just fall on the bad side where you end up just taking a break from whatever you're doing, whether it's uni or work, and then you end up just wasting it completely. Like it's just like a 3 month long holiday. You could go traveling, which is like you're losing money and time, but I guess it's fun. Um, or going out all day, spending money, seeing friends, stuff like that, or just completely doing nothing, staying at home, being a homebody, and playing games or something. It's very easy, I think, and I'm pretty sure I've done that in the past. So if that's you now, it's fine, right? Like sometimes you just need that kind of break, and sometimes you just gotta find, you just gotta do stuff that makes you enjoy life, and find another reason to keep waking up, I guess. Um, but yeah, that's something I learned pretty quickly at the start of this challenge, where it's just like, yeah, I think it's a very slippery slope, right? The same can be said for the other way, where if you spend the first week just zoning in on your work, on what you need to do, then for the next couple of weeks it's gonna be a lot easier because you've already done a week of it, and then get out of there. Sorry, I was like, I don't know if you guys saw that, just flying like debris, but um, yeah, the first week is probably the hardest, and then as you get on, you sort of start building this internal image of yourself, and you sort of tell yourself that like, yeah, this is what you're capable of, and the weeks that you don't do it, you sort of just feel off when you don't. But yeah, the same can be said for the other bad direction where it's just like, oh, I'll push it to tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And that's another thing that I learned doing this. There usually isn't a tomorrow where you're motivated enough. If you have the thought of pressing it or pushing it to tomorrow, that's usually a sign that you should just keep pushing it and keep trying to, make that the norm, because those moments are the moments where they become the norm, right? I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'll give an example. When you're boxing or at the gym and you're doing like 3 reps of 12 of some exercise, and on the second rep, on the second set, you're just like, yeah, this is too tiring. I'm gonna do another set tomorrow. Those are the moments where your mind sort of sets the baseline, right? If you do 3, you're probably gonna continue doing 3 for the rest of your gymming days. If you do 2, you're always gonna be skipping that like last one, and every single time you do it, you're gonna feel horrible about yourself, but it's gonna be easy, you know. So, anyways, that was a bit of a tangent. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. So back to reflection. This this week honestly didn't start out too well. I'm gonna be honest. I said honest like 3 times in that sentence. It started off pretty badly and pretty like stupidly, just because the night that I decided that I was gonna do this, or the night that I decided that I was gonna quit uni, or just defer for a couple months, was also a night that I couldn't sleep. And with that, like, I just decided to say fuck it, I'm just gonna stay up. Right? It was like at 12. I had to wake up at 6 or 7 to leave for work, and I was like, it's only 6 hours. I'll just do some work, make some videos or something. And that was a horrible idea. Never stay up for anything unless you like absolutely have to. There's no other way of doing it. But holy shit, that was the worst idea of my life, because I didn't get sleep, which means uh, no, the second thing, I wasn't even that productive, right? Because I was sleep deprived. I couldn't even think properly. I was just like, I really want to go to bed. But at this point, I might just get like 3 hours, so I might as well stick through it. And then it went to 2 hours, 1 hour, and then 1 hour, and then by the end, I like took a 20-minute nap because I realized I needed to drive like an hour, and I think if I don't get any sleep now, I might actually crash. But yeah, so this new lifestyle sort of began the day after that, just because after work I was so dead. So I just went home, slept for the entire day, and then at night I think I did some stuff. But yeah, this was definitely a very interesting learning experience. I think I learned a lot about how I learn. And I think that's very important. You should, because everybody's different, right, in terms of how they learn, right? And I think it's one of the things that you should look out for more often, right? The days where you have good days where you can just focus for like 5 hours and just do exactly what you need to do. You should look at those days and try and replicate that as much as possible. And the days where you just like, I'm gonna sit around, play games all day, just fucking just be in bed, watch YouTube, watch TikTok, whatever. Those days are the days that you should also look out for, but you should be aware of what usually triggers it and the environment you're sort of in. Right? Just think about like those situations where you are, where your mind is, and how you ended up there in the first place. Because we all want um, to have productive days, but if you're just looking at it as like, what, maybe today will be a productive day, maybe today won't, you're sort of just like, that's just gambling at that point. You're just letting whatever happens happen. Whereas, and it's sort of just giving control to somewhere where you shouldn't be giving control at all. Right? You should have complete control of what you're doing, what you need to do, and keeping yourself accountable for that. And that's the hardest part. Number one, the hardest part, but also two, where all the value is, right? And where you see people who just waste their entire lives for 10, 20 years, half-assing everything, and compared to people who, are at the top. I'm not saying I'm at the top, but it's just something that I see with a lot of my friends. You know. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I think it was more so just brief summary of maybe not brief. I feel like this is like, let me just check how long this has been. Oof, okay, not that brief, but you know what I mean, right? It's like just a weak summary, I guess. The things I learned, the things that helped me get through it. Yeah. Not much else. Uh, I guess one thing is if there's something that you want to do that is in uni and you don't know if you want to take that leap just because it's the uni is the safer path and it's the more secure path, fuck it, just take the leap. If you're young, if you're like, even if you're like 30 or something, right? Like, you're still young, you still have a lot of life left, you still have a lot of time to do stuff, right? Take the leap, fuck it, because the younger you are, the less you have to worry about, the less risks you need to be concerned about, the less stuff you actually have, which is accounted in risk a lot, right? So like things you're willing to lose, the things you're not willing to lose. Usually when you're younger, you will have less things to lose, so you might as well do riskier stuff just because the risk isn't actually that high if you consider the stuff you're losing to be just zero. Because you could play it completely risky. I don't know what's an example of risk. Say you had like 20 grand in savings. So you start a business when you're 20, random business, it goes completely haywire. You lose all your money. You still only lost 20 grand. Like 20 grand is a lot, but the amount of 20 grands you'll probably make in your lifetime is incomparable to that single 20 grand. So yeah, take risks when you're younger because the older you get, the more you're putting up on risk in the more you're putting at risk. Yeah. So yeah. See what this week is like. Hopefully it's similar in terms of workload and productivity.